welcome our friend from Grand Bassa County, Mr. Sekipo Ines of Radio Beson. You're sorry if I don't pronounce the name very well, but you know it's a traditional name. But like we mentioned the last time, our goal here is to be able to speak with journalists all across Liberia. Last week we had someone coming in from Cape Mount. The week before we have had Bomi, and we've also had Mark Ivy. We look forward to getting community radio stations as well involved into different activities that we do. Today's press briefing will be a very brief one, because we know today is Good Friday. We want all of you to be able to go back home and connect with your loved ones and at your worship centers as well. So the president has continued his work. He's continuing working even today. He was earlier on saying he went to sympathize with a family in the rehab area who had lost one of family member. And the government this entire week, the government is continuously being formed. As you know, formulating the government. And as I said earlier, the president earlier visited the home of the late Steve Bondo in Peloton in Pinsville, where he went to sympathize. He's also expressed his deep sympathy to the victims of the River Cess mudslide as he continues to follow through with the disaster management and all the stakeholders involved as they gave him regular updates. You'll be hearing from us later today on the status of that and what specific actions have been taken. He continues to meet different international and local partners in support of the government's agenda. And one of such notable meetings was this week. He had a meeting with MNG Gold, the owners of the BMMC, that is the Beer Mountain Mining Company there in Cape Mount. As you all know, there has been a number of different issues of late. The issues with the riot, one of the things that the situation, and he did immediately set up committees to be able to follow up. Those committees are still working. The Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, and all the sector ministries and agencies involved, including the Ministry of Justice, they're continuously following the situation. There was a team that was sent there that spent a number of days there in assessing the entire scope of the situation, meeting with workers, management, community people, and the rest of the community to serve as the commencement speaker at the occasion. And at the end, prior to getting into the hall, there was, at the time, unidentified man who came and touched the president. Immediately there was an investigative team set up. They've been investigating. Remember, I told you in one of our press briefings that sometimes security investigations do take some time, and those things are, and the team actually finally sending their final report. And the portions of the report that are declassified is what we will inform you. That is to say that the individual was identified as Mr. Sam D. Conway Jr., who went and breached security protocol. Other details include that there is a recommendation that this individual be charged in violation of the Penal Code of Liberia, particularly sections 14.22 and section 14.23 of both, speaking of offensive touching and reckless endangerment of another person. So that is one of the key recommendations as per the report. There's also a recommendation that the EPS undergo sustained internal training to ensure that they're well built to commensurate with the demands of the job. They also violated, especially it was a clear security breach, and there was a breach, and by that there's a recommendation that they some actions be taken against those people at the time who had signed with the President, His Excellency President Wakai, and that they should be going through some form of reparations or punishment, as per the report from the joint team that spearheaded this investigation was the Liberian National Police, the Armed Forces of Liberia, and the Executive Protection Service. And the President has received this report. He thanked the committee or the team for their job done, and he is also looking to the recommendation for the committee. And on the other aspects of updates that the President has received, he's had his team have given briefing on a number of different things that are happening across the country, all the different teams that he has set up, and what they're working on to do to ensure that everything that they have talked about, it was important. But one of the key things that the President has insisted on is that the rule of law should be followed in all of the acts and dealings of the government. And our President is someone who respects the law and encourages all of his team members to follow through with issues relating to law and order. We'll stop here for now, and should you have questions, we'll encourage you to ask questions based on some of the things that we've said here today, and I look forward to engaging with all of you. As we always do, you should be able to call your name, your institution that you represent, and your question. Please keep your question to the point and not lay lengthy queries. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Oscar Badupansa. I write for Reports for Favor Online Media Network. Two questions. There was a protest here at the Executive Mansion today. I would like you to please speak to that. And then the second one is the President aware or concerned about the increase in the Ministry of Finance and Development planning budgets whilst the executive and legislative budget reduces?
You say in the project or what?
Increase in budget of the Finance Ministry whilst the executive mansion budget is reduced. Is the President concerned about that? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Sam Ipo Ines of Radio Bison in Grand Bassa County. First of all, I'd like to appreciate your effort, most especially, it's our first time ever to be invited, most especially be part of such weekly press review, also encourage your office to make sure all counties can also, form part of this. My attention has been drawn to the situation there in Grand Bassa County, most especially the recent appointments from the nominations from the President office, looking at Riverside and other neighboring counties not too far from Grand Bassa County. Local leadership were appointed, but the people of Bassa are still concerned why up to now Grand Bassa County issue a superintendent other local leaders of the county and from the end of the President.
My name is Anthony Jefan for ABC Radio. Thank you for the update. But again, I'm concerned about before Mr. Rogers Doma was nominated as Deputy Minister for Administration at the Ministry of Health. And one, Madam Martha Morris, was sent as Assistant for Administration. A few days ago, a list was released, and Martha Morris is now Deputy for Administration without seeing Roger Doma. What is happening? That's one. Another thing is there are information that the nomination of Mr. Councillor Bobby Livingstone as Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs at the Ministry of Information and Assistant Minister for Litigation at the Ministry of Justice, Lafiegu, which was published earlier, has been withdrawn. Can you speak to that? Thank you.
Okay, the President will address those questions, and then we'll people ask.
Okay. Thank you very much for those very beautiful questions. On the issue of the protests, as you mentioned here earlier on here at the Executive Mansion, what we can say to that, you know, when we came here, there were a number of issues that we have highlighted to the public. And you all followed through when we had the tour of the Executive Mansion, and we've launched a number of different audits. And it's been realized that one of the issues was the issue of personnel and the overcrowdedness of personnel portfolio. And there are two groups of personnel that we have here at the Executive Mansion. One, they're covered under the Civil Service Agency, and another is covered under the Supplementary payroll. Earlier on, you listened to the Deputy Minister for Administration during her confirmation when she did mention of the burden of the personnel that we have in terms of the limitation of resources. So what happened earlier today was the information that the Ministry of State is unable to keep or to maintain all 700 persons on a supplementary period, in that there is no resources or there are no resources or funds to be able to maintain 700 plus personnel. So there is currently a review going on. And earlier on, you all listened, we did talk about that in one of our press briefings, that the General Auditing Commission was conducting an audit here to be able to see what the situation was. And what is going on now, the protest or the action or the form of disagreement that you saw earlier on, was the fact that the staff, there was a staff meeting held earlier, and information was put out by the team that we do not have resources to be able to pay everyone, particularly so when it comes to the supplementary payroll. Earlier on, there was something called supplementary payroll the previous government instituted that was controlled by somebody at the time here at the Executive Mansion and somebody at the Ministry of Finance, where people did not go through proper vetting system. People came and were added on the payroll, and that they have not even taken pay from the beginning of January. You know, since the government left, there was no allotment or allocation to be able to cover for people who were on those payrolls. And because of that, currently, there's no resources, as I said, to be able to pay for people on supplementary payroll. There's a process that's going to happen where it's going to take a full assessment to understand the gravity and, what's going to happen next. But the plan here is the work they've done over the past month that they have not gotten paid for example, January, February, and March. The plan is that they're going to be paid for the month they've worked for. And going forward, there will be an assessment to see whether or not we're able to foot, the bill, because it's almost annually, it costs over $2 million to be able to maintain, that payroll system that is not in the proper channel of, getting employed, going through CSA, going through all the employment possibilities. So at the conclusion of all of the audits that are happening with the forensic, the personnel, the financial, and all the different audits that the Executive Mansion is currently undergoing, there will be recommendation made, especially when it comes to personnel. And at that time, specific conversations will be had around that. But currently, the situation is that there's absolutely no resources after March to be able to keep over 700 persons on supplementary period. There's no provision for that. So because that information was out and the meeting was held to inform the team that have been working in that or people affected by that, that's how you saw their reaction. They say, why, this, that, but the reality is there's no resources. And it will be a bad labor practice as a government to have people working and you can't pay them because you can't afford to pay them. even the consideration for paying of those part pay is some form of discussion that's still being had, you know. So again, what you saw earlier came out of those disagreements. On the issue of the finance ministry budget and the rest of the other ministry budget, I didn't quite get your question really clearly, but I can say the Ministry of State budget, I mean, the budget is still being discussed at the legislature, and that the legislature is supposed to resume so that they're able to have a discussion around the budget, and hopefully we can have the budget passed so that the government can continue. On the issue of the nomination coming from BASA, so my brother, I'm from Cape Mount, and there have not been any nomination from Cape Mount. So there are other counties, you know, nomination takes time, and appointment also takes time. And with the local government, you know, there are several considerations that happens. Different people want to ensure that there's representation that comes from everywhere. So, I mean, nomination will be made. Trust me, all the counties, I mean, this is by law, they're supposed to have leadership structure. Cape Mount has not been nominated. I mean, the other counties, it's not just Grand Bassa County. So we understand the zest, we understand the excitement in the county, we understand, and we've heard a lot of conversations happening in Grand Bassa. Our ears are also on the ground in other parts of the country that people really want to have their superintendent. In fact, one thing I want to inform all of you now, because we're used to superintendents, development superintendents and whatnot, right? But the law, the 2018 Local Government Act, those positions, you will see the next batch of nomination, that will be coming out. You won't see development superintendent or assistant superintendent because that was in the previous law. But now it is the county financial officer, county development officer, you know, they like as per the 2018 Local Government Act. So I encourage people so that when you see the next nomination, you don't say, oh, why are they nominating? Why is the president appointing county finance officer, county development officer? Because that's what the new law says, and that's what is going to be the next batch of local government appointment. And then this is to also say that those appointments of local government that have happened already, and those ones will be readjusted to carry the specific nomenclature that is within the law, the 2018 Local Government Act. Talking about the Roger Doma and Martha Morris nomination, I can tell you that I've said always, the President of the Republic of Liberia is the appointing authority. He is giving the authority to appoint whoever he wills to work at his will and pleasure, especially at the executive level. So he can appoint John Brown today and decide that John Brown shouldn't be appointed, he will recall John Brown and appoint someone else. And if you see on the appointment or nomination press releases, you'll see, and I want all of you media personalities and media institutions to pay attention to a sentence. I would say these nominations, especially the current one, the current nomination supersede all previously done. So that should cover all withdrawal here and there and whatnot. So this is to say that the most recent appointment, if they appointed John Brown as, for example, a janitor, and tomorrow they appoint Peter Paul as a janitor, and that release will say the most recent appointment supersede the previous one. And I understand the concern about, the feeling and whatnot, but those other conversations definitely are happening behind the scenes, reaching out to those persons concerned. So on the issue of Bobby Livingstone and Lafayette, Councillors Bobby Livingstone and Councillor Lafayette, who is that right now, as it stands, we have not made any specific appointment in those areas. Once the president makes a particular appointment, as I said, everything else should be covered. If there's any official conversation to say the president has officially withdrawn, you will see a press statement from my end. So if you have not seen a press statement withdrawing these individuals, or their new persons have not been appointed in those areas, just know that the new changes have not been made. Should there be a reason to recall or nominate other persons in the same position, and that happens, you'll definitely hear from us, and that the current and most recent nomination will be the nomination that will stand. Because again, the law of recency, the most recent is the nomination to cover everything. I think those were the questions in the first batch. You can take the last batch of questions to
No, talk about it. You said the reduction of budget. I said the Ministry of State has a budget, and the Ministry of Finance, all institutions have a budget. And when we say we are not the one right now, as you know, the budget is being discussed at the legislature, that you know, right? So that is the information that we have. Well, again, I mean, I do not have you. These are general propositions that you. I do not have the budget in my hand here. But the president, the president being concerned, the president is concerned for everything. Anything that happens or relates to developing our country, the president is concerned about. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Dennis Nipsing. I report for Spoon FM and VOA. Earlier on the school year, I had speculations that those nominations they have recalled, quote-unquote seditions, for which the president has withdrawn the nomination. And also, it said that the president or the committee in charge is not doing due diligence in terms of investigating those who have been nominated before, investigating them before the nomination. And also, just on today, the fleet of vehicle that is belonging to the former chief of protocol of the executive mansion, we got the news that those vehicles were at GSA, and now today they were released. Is there any information on that as the office of the president?
Yeah, Madam Press Secretary, I'm Janet Bogo, and I report for the Heritage newspaper. Wednesday, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Thomas Fala, said the President made an appointment. He named 3 individuals who was allegedly involved in the death of citizens of Lofa County, Fuya. Is he concerned about that allegation?
Thank you so much, Madam Press Secretary. My name is Moses Papalo, and I report for the University of Labrador. I want you to clarify a statement when you said that we should take heed to a sentence in your release about appointments or nominations, that all other nominations supersede. I want to know, are you telling us that whatever name is withdrawn or whatever listing is taken down, for instance, do we consider it as withdrawn list? For example, as in the case of that's WAMO at the Ministry of Defense. And the second question is, some of the president's nominees have had public resistance. And from the first was a former defense minister, Prince C.
Public what? Public resistance?
Yes.
Okay.
The first was the former defense minister, Prince C. Johnson, whose nomination, despite resistance from the widows or what people believe to be wording of the AFL, protested against, and nothing was done until he was confirmed. So the point is, at the Ministry of, that's the Forestry Development Authority, Rudolph Mira is nominated. There has been countless protestation calling on the president to withdraw his nomination. With previous, is the president willing to heed to that this time around?
Thank you. My name is Joseph Daniels, and I report for OKFM. Thank you, Madam Press Secretary. You made mention of the Local Government Act of 2018, which you quoted as saying that there will be assistant superintendents, or rather will be financial officers and so forth. The president has already made appointments, like in Grand G. He has nominated assistant superintendents. Will those nominations be recorded because they violate the 2018 Land Rights Act, because he's appointing assistant superintendents and the law says there shouldn't be local government act. The local government act we're talking about. So will the president recall those nominations? And there have been discussion around the budget of the Ministry of State, where specifically there is no money towards maintenance of vehicles. How will that be done?
Okay, the president will address those questions.
All right, thank you very much, and I'd like to again thank all of you for your time to take up to come to this press briefing. And thanks to the two ladies, even though you're busy, but sister, they will ask questions today, but I will encourage all the women, and please today, again, to the institution who's raising our offices, that they want to cover the executive mansion. As we consistently said, we remain open, we encourage people to send the application and follow through. Please, when you're sending and you're recommending reporters, please, please, please encourage the females to be part of those people you will be recommending. And also, please recommend them. Media managers, media owners, please, 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 please. I'm tired of seeing too many gentlemen faces. We want to see, our sisters, to encourage them in the media area. So talking about the Ministry of State and maintenance issue on vehicles. Well, the Ministry of State does not maintain her own vehicles. It's through the General Services Agency. Even all of the vehicles that you see for the ministry, our vehicle fleets, comes through the General Services Agency. So that will be taken care of from that end. On the issue of I think somebody talked about the vehicles that were released. Well, I think the president, I'm not sure in the specific instances that you're mentioning, but everything relating to the presidency, the president is following up on them. He's getting briefing, and as time goes on, you will listen, and you will hear from us on the specific actions towards those. The involvement, the allegation of involvement of nominees in the death of people in Lofa. Again, this is me just hearing it from you, and I did not listen to Honorable Fala's allegation, and I will encourage those who have facts. This thing about the country is a country of law. So we encourage anyone with facts surrounding people who are involved in any form of criminal activity to please use the law. If we should reach a point where this, carrying allegation on people without the facts and just letting it go, even if you have the fact, you're not willing to go to court, you're not willing to pursue these actions via the rule of law, is also contributing to the problem. So I would encourage anyone with allegations of individuals or nominees who have some, because again, like I've said, countlessly, the president does not know everyone. Even people who work in HR will not know everyone. One person will not know the background and everything of 2,000, 3,000 persons. So if you have information on someone who has been nominated for something and you have not gone to court with the information, you've not filed a complaint, through our justice system, then you are also contributing to the problem. So again, I can't say much to the allegation or whatnot, but I encourage anyone who have some or these kinds of allegations to kindly forward it to the proper authorities. On the issue of the public resistance, well, again, this is the same thing. The president has appointed Mr. Rudolph Mira as the head of MTA, and he's been working with his team there. And the president have not been informed. And then this other thing about, not everybody will love him, right? Sometimes when they call John Brown, someone will say, I hate John Brown. But if you have valid reasons, you should help the country. Like I've should have, forward information to the proper authority. But as yet, Mr. Mirab, the interest of the president, especially in the forestry area, is to ensure Liberia gets a fair share on the dividend that we should be receiving, and the plans for the forestry sector, how we can help to support the system in that jobs can be created for Liberians and people who are contributing to the sector can get the fair share of the support. And his vision for the forestry sector is something that that the team there are working towards. On the issue of recalling of the nomination, of course, again, like I said constantly, the president is a leader who respects the law. Whatever the law says, he goes by that. I think I've covered everything so far. Talking about the process here, we talked about that. Involvement, public resistance, brain cheater.
Yeah. My question was, President Bouaka has already made appointments.
Oh yes. So yes. So again, those ones. So the position is actually not the Land Rights Act. It's the 2018 Local Government Act. So when you see, because I remember when the president did the appointment of the assistant minister at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, assistant minister / special assistant. I remember, why is the president appointing special assistant? Because the reason why we're saying this is that we don't want a situation where when the president makes an appointment of a finance officer in the county, is the president supposed to appoint finance officer? But according to the act now, is that what you used to call the assistant superintendent for fiscal affairs is now finance officer, county finance officer, assistant superintendent for development is now, is that a nomenclature change? Is now the development officer, county development officer. Likewise, go down those chains. But there are some things that have not changed. The commissioners have not changed. There are some things that still remain as they are, as they were in the previous law. So now this is just a matter of nomenclature change. And as we go along with those individuals who are communicated, in fact, the legislature have already been communicated to on those changes. So again, thank you all so much for always coming to this press briefing, and I look forward to our continuous engagement. I look forward to regularly updating you on the workings of His Excellency President Joseph Juma Bouaka, and to let you know what we're doing here at the Executive Mansion. We look forward to your assistance, and our doors are always open. Let's work for the development of our home. Thank you, and have a very pleasant Good Friday.
Many thanks for watching Spoon TV at the Executive Mansion press briefing with the Presidential Press Secretary. Like I said earlier on, there were supplementary staffers who were protesting here at the mansion, but the police were able to disperse those who were protesting. Thank you so much for following. My name is Dennis Nipson.